The rumors about Camilla and Charles' secret child have been swirling for a while now, but recently there have been some new developments. It looks like we might be closer to the truth than ever before, and you'll never believe what Charles might be forced to do next. For years, Simon Dorrant Day has been claiming that he's been the long-lost son of Charles and Camilla. As crazy as it sounds, there are a surprising number of people who really believe that Simon truly is who he says. The royal family gets wrapped up in so many bizarre scandals, but some of Simon's claims kind of make you wonder. His entire story is honestly so shocking. Simon was born near Portsmouth, England in April 1966. This would mean that Camilla was 18 years old when Simon was born, and Charles was only 17 at the time. That's one of the reasons that Simon claims that he was kept a secret and placed for adoption 8 months after he was born. It's honestly hard to know how to feel about this, but it seems that Simon has explanations for almost everything, and the way it all lines up is seriously insane. According to Simon, Charles and Camilla actually met much earlier than what's been reported. Instead of meeting at a polo match in 1970, Simon believes that they actually met at Winston Churchill's funeral in 1965 and secretly got together a few times after that. Allegedly, the royal family did everything they could to cover up Camilla's pregnancy until they were forced to do something unbelievable. Simon claimed that Camilla was kept out of the public eye during her pregnancy, and Charles was sent off to Australia for schooling. I think it's interesting that Charles really did attend a private boarding school in Australia in 1966, even though that doesn't really prove anything one way or another. After Simon was born, he was adopted by a couple who had a crazy link to the royal family that I never would have expected. Simon's adoptive grandparents, Winifred and Ernest Bolden, reportedly worked for Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip as their cook and gardener. Simon claims that when he was 8 months old, it was getting too tough for Camilla and the royals to keep him hidden away. They knew that they had to do something, and they allegedly found the perfect solution. Simon claimed that once Winifred heard that the baby could no longer stay with Camilla, she told Queen Elizabeth that her daughter Karen would be able to adopt him. After Simon was adopted by Karen and David Day, he believes that his real mother Camilla tried to stay in his life for a while. Simon even claims to have crazy memories from his childhood that are honestly really strange. Supposedly, Simon remembers going to homes in Portsmouth as a young child and visiting with a woman that he believes was Camilla. He claims that protection officers and his adopted parents would wait outside while he spent time with her. I can't imagine how confusing that would have been for him, if it's true. Aside from Simon's odd memories, there are other unusual details that have convinced him that he's from a royal bloodline. Surprisingly, Simon felt like the possibility of being Charles and Camilla's secret son was even stronger after having his own children. When his son was born, the baby had very unexpected blue eyes. This encouraged Simon even more to investigate his ancestry because he thinks that the royal family is hiding another, even more terrible secret. Simon claims that he was born with blue eyes but was forced to have a procedure when he was 8 years old to change his eye color to brown. But that's not all. Simon allegedly had his teeth filed down when he was a teenager so that he wouldn't look as similar to Charles' side of the family. And I'm not sure what to think of these bizarre allegations, but they weren't the only reason that Simon felt the need to do even more research. This is absolutely crazy. According to Simon, his grandmother had talked about the chance of him being related to the royal family for as long as he could remember. I imagine it must have been so frustrating to hear and believe something your whole life, but have no solid proof. But right before she passed away, Winifred dropped a bombshell revelation on Simon. Allegedly, Winifred revealed to Simon that he was the long-lost royal son, and Charles and Camilla were, without a doubt, his true parents. After that, Simon made it his mission to piece together the puzzle of his life story. But there have been unbelievable bumps in the road for Simon, and some of them have been truly insane. Simon, who lives in Australia now, had reportedly been sending letters and trying to contact the royal family to get any answers he could. I have a feeling that with all of the mail the royals get daily, responding to bizarre paternity claims might not be in the top of their list. After not hearing anything back, Simon and his wife, Elviana, decided to travel to England in order to find out more. Crazily enough, they soon discovered that would be impossible, and you're never going to believe why. Simon and his wife had been put on a no-travel list and legally weren't even allowed into the United Kingdom. I can't believe they were banned from entering completely. But what makes this even weirder is that Simon is actually a joint British citizen. He opened up to 7 News in Australia about why he thinks he was forbidden for visiting England, and his theory is seriously wild. Simon revealed that the royals and government officials in the United Kingdom wanted to silence him, and that's why he was blocked from traveling. In a crazy turn of events, he received an apology letter 2 years later from authorities and was taken off the no travel list. But even though Simon's questions had gone unanswered, his case has been gaining more attention than ever because of an outrageous amount of support. After 20 years of Simon digging into his ancestry, he started to get more support in an unthinkable place. He started posting photo comparisons of himself with Charles, Camilla, and their families on his Facebook and received so much support. Simon told 7 News that his followers have been helping him in an unbelievable way. There are so many people who agree with Simon that he looks too similar to Charles and Camilla for it to be a coincidence. Several of Simon's followers have started making their own side-by-side photo comparisons to send to him. I can't believe how many people are standing behind Simon and are trying to help his case get more attention. Some of the comparisons sent to Simon are of his 2 children who allegedly have resemblances to their biological grandparents and even Queen Elizabeth II. Speaking of Queen Elizabeth, Simon revealed how he felt after her passing and what it meant for him. This is honestly so crazy. After Queen Elizabeth II passed away in September, Simon shared how sad he was about his so-called grandmother's passing. He claimed that he had just written her a letter earlier this year asking her to have Charles participate in a DNA test. Unfortunately, Simon didn't hear back. I was surprised by how upset he seemed about what happened right after the Queen's passing, though you'll never guess why Simon was so shocked. Apparently, when King Charles announced that William was given the title of Prince of Wales, Simon was frustrated. He even claimed to 7 News that it felt like a kick in the face because all he wanted from Charles was an honest answer. I can't lie, I feel like the easiest way to put this to rest either way would be for DNA testing to be done, and Simon does ask a very interesting question. According to 7 News, Simon believes that if King Charles is not his father, he could easily prove that he's not. From the sounds of it, Simon's message has been delivered to Charles more than once. He even has a receipt from an official palace bodyguard that proves his letter was received by Charles' secretary. But Simon is apparently done waiting around, and he's decided to take his ancestry search to the next level. After speaking out after the Queen's passing, Simon was hit with a ton of backlash because some people believed that he was just trying to use a tragic event to get attention. But Simon has been working on researching his case for years and has allegedly even taken legal action now. I can't believe how insane this search is about to get. Simon recently revealed that he's actually petitioned the High Court to have King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla submit to a DNA test. As for the people who think Simon is only after the royal family's money, he has a pretty bizarre response to that. Simon shared with 7 News that part of him would like to be the Prince of Wales, but there's another big part of him that wouldn't like that at all. Believe it or not, Simon has actually compared himself to Prince Harry in that aspect. Allegedly, it's not that Simon wants the title of prince or the money, but he's tired of feeling ignored and just wants to be heard. I'm not really sure what to think about Simon's story, but there have been some arguments brought up to counter his claims that are pretty insane. Apparently, even if Simon's adoptive grandparents did work at the royal household, something about his story isn't adding up. Simon has claimed that his grandfather Ernest was given an Imperial Service Award for his work, but there's no record of that ever happening, and that's not all. Simon has said that his original birth certificate was filled in with completely made up names and information. But even though he's talked about how the hospital that was listed didn't even deliver babies in the decade he was born, Simon has never revealed which hospital it supposedly was. It seems like there's a lot of Simon's story that really could lead to something big, but there's also a lot of missing information. Whether or not you believe that Simon is the long-lost son of Charles and Camilla, his story could be even bigger news in the near future. According to 7 News, Simon has been in the talks with quite a few documentary directors with both the United Kingdom and the United States, but Simon is reportedly trying to strike up his own deal with Netflix first. It'll be interesting to see if Simon ever ends up getting a DNA test from the royal family. I've got to admit, there are some crazy similarities in Simon's photo comparisons with the royals and their family members, but at the same time, his story just seems pretty out there, and there's a lot that just doesn't make sense about it. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think there could be any truth to Simon's claims? And do you think the royal family should agree to do a DNA test? Let me know in the comments.